The following is a production of the University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
In the spring of 1997, a non-credit seminar was offered to undergraduate students at the University of Minnesota. The purpose was to explore the concept of leadership courses for credit and to solicit input regarding the content of the curriculum. This was the beginning of the leadership minor at the University of Minnesota. In the spring of 1998, the first course entitled Leadership You and Your Community, then identified as EDPA 3199 and PA 3099, was offered for credit with 19 students registered. The input from this class led to the creation of an introductory course, Personal Leadership in the University, for the following semester. Since then, the leadership minor at the University of Minnesota has grown to become the largest undergraduate leadership minor in the world. Like many innovative ideas, it started with a few dedicated, visionary, and courageous people. We would like to share the perspectives of this program's founders.
I'm June Noby, and I'm the Assistant Vice Provost for Student Life, which is in the Division of Student Affairs, and I'm also the Director of the Lead Up Office, which includes co-curricular leadership programs and the academic minor in leadership. I was the Director of Student Activities back in the 90s, and we had just hired a new leadership coordinator. His name was Toby Egan. And so Toby, we were already doing non-credit bearing cohort-based leadership programs that still exist today, but Toby really wanted to do an assessment and talk to students to see what they wanted around leadership development. And one of the themes that came back that we were not doing was, why can't we get academic credit for these leadership roles that we're holding? We put a significant amount of time in these roles, we're learning a lot, we feel like there's some real practical skills that we're gaining, and a desire to put some academic grounding around that and be able to develop some skills in the classroom that would translate to those leadership roles.
My name is Dr. Verna Price. So I came to the University of Minnesota as a pregnant teacher who decided that she wanted to work on her doctoral degree. And interestingly, I was referred to Dr. Karen Seashore Lewis.
My name is Karen Seashore, and I am a Regents professor at the university. I've been here for about 30 years.
I go to meet Karen Seashore Lewis. I'm 8 months pregnant. And we talk about our vision. We talk about what it is that we're interested in, what it is we want to do. And she said, you know what, I would love for you to study with me.
It was in and through another one of my students who I think you've also interviewed, Verna Simmons. Verna was my doctoral student. She came to me primarily interested in small children. She had been an elementary school teacher. As she went through our program here, she became particularly interested in thinking about what she'd learned about providing smaller children with challenges, opportunities to think about how what they were learning applied to the real world. And she became more and more interested in how come we're not doing more of that at the university.
I'm Barbara Crosby. I'm Associate Professor at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs and Leadership and Management. I was one of the original organizers of the leadership minor back in the late 1990s and have taught in the minor. Well, one of the reasons we began the minor was that students who are already doing, let's say, leadership activities on the campus were able A, to get some credit for some of the work they were doing, and B, to connect it better to what we know about effective leadership practice.
When I heard the students, and what I heard the students say was for something very simple. We learn everything but how to be a leader in this university. And we may have a Carlson degree in business, but if we don't know how to lead, we're still in trouble. We need to learn because that's what the future is all about. It's all about leadership. So we have this conversation, and then this conversation begins to build and build and build. Then we all kind of began to create this thing. But I just remember, you know, the work it took to get this thing up and running was no joke.
Of course, what mattered most, and now I think it's so well institutionalized, has been, I think, the leadership that has been given to it by June and Lynette, who have consistently, I think, worked on keeping the bridges to departments, to colleges open. They spend a great deal of time working on that, connecting up with other parts of the university.
I have so much gratitude for these 4 amazing women who in many ways broke through a glass ceiling on their own and then paid it forward for so many of us by creating the leadership minor. The leadership minor not only brings in people from the community and the university to be part of holding and mentoring emerging adults, but it also provides a space for all of these professionals to continue to work their own leadership edges while they're helping others learn about theirs. The chutzpah that they had to have, the courage, the ability to take no for an answer but not take no for an answer, the ability to work political systems and to believe in something that at the time was really not valued or seen as important by many people. Each one of these women in their own way was critical to the health of the whole because they each brought such different skill sets and belief systems and power with them. And the other amazing thing about these 4 women is that they not only created something that was futuristic, I don't know how they saw so far into the future to create something that would not only withstand the test of time, but would be able to adapt over time. But they did it selflessly. They put their time in and they went on to other things. And they left something that the rest of us get to stay and shape and mold for our time. And then we will leave. And they've taught us how to do both. How to stay and create and play and then to move on. And I can't think of a better living example of leadership than what Barbara and Verna and Karen and June have given us in the legacy of this program.
So I would say to our graduates, take what you have learned, put it inside not just your mind, your heart, put it in your soul, put it in your spirit, and use it as a way to live, just simply a way to live, so that when others see that, they want to follow you, and refuse to, go after positional leadership. You don't need to run after a position, because here is what's going to happen. When you become a positive personal leader, it's amazing. Positions will run after you. You will never ever have to run after a position in your life. Positions will run after you.
I've kept in touch with a number of the students that I taught last year, and I think all of them go out with a sense that their path is not a fixed one. Yep, they got to get a job. That's certainly, you can't start out by being unemployed, but after you get that job, then what you look for is opportunities that will be beneficial to you and beneficial to other people.
Well, I certainly would want them to think about their leadership over the course of their life, but also their followership. In other words, none of us is leading all the time, and often being a disciplined, courageous follower prepares us to move into leadership roles. So I would say, I would hope that people would think of themselves as lifelong followers and leaders working for the common good. And also, I would hope they would encourage many more people to take leadership minor courses, to emphasize leadership as part of their college career.
Perfect is good, but done is better. I think that we often don't start. We stop before we even start because we're worried that we won't be able to do it perfectly. But perfection is a myth. It's just many, many iterations of good enough that get better each time. I think it's also important that people pace themselves. We have so many media influences saying, you know, boy, you should have this car and this house and this mortgage and you should know what you want to do with your life. But people are going to live to be 100, if not 120, very soon. And so this is such a short amount of time, this ambiguity about what people really want to do. So get out there and try.
We have given you a lot of tools to be able to go out and change the world. So ask that you go out and do that. The world really needs you.
20 years later, the leadership minor has over 1,800 enrollments and an annual enrollment growth rate of 15 to 24%. It is now nationally recognized as a leader in the field of leadership education.